The situation in Gaza City has become nothing short of a nightmare. Residents are trapped in what UNICEF has called a city of fear, caught in the relentless crossfire of Israel's intensified military campaign. Entire neighborhoods are being flattened by indiscriminate bombings, forcing people to flee in desperation, yet finding no safe haven within the besieged enclave. This brutal assault has been ongoing for nearly 2 years, with no signs of abating. But here's where it gets controversial. On Thursday, an airstrike targeted a tent in the Tal al-Hawa neighborhood, wiping out an entire family of 5, including 3 young children. This tragic event highlights the devastating human cost of the conflict and raises urgent questions about the proportionality and ethics of the military tactics being used. Video footage from the scene shows Palestinians sifting through the wreckage of damaged tents, picking up scattered belongings amid the rubble. Among the debris lay a pair of blood-stained pink slippers, a haunting symbol of the lives shattered in an instant. Israa al-Basous, a survivor, recounted to AFP how she and her children were asleep when the bombing struck. "Shrapnel fell on us, and my 4 children started screaming," she said, painting a vivid picture of the terror experienced by civilians caught in the crossfire. The violence has not been confined to one area. Attacks have been reported across multiple districts of Gaza City, including Zaydan, Sabra, Tufa, Nasser, and Shujaiya. The Israeli military's objective appears to be the forced displacement of roughly 1 million people from Gaza's largest urban center, as entire neighborhoods are systematically destroyed. In the Tufa neighborhood alone, heavy bombardment claimed at least 8 lives and left dozens injured, according to Mahmoud Basal, spokesperson for Gaza's Civil Emergency Services. In Shujaiya, a strike on a residential building killed at least 2 people, while in Zaytun, rescuers pulled 3 bodies from the rubble of a home belonging to the al-Ghaff family. Al Jazeera's correspondent Hani Mahmoud, reporting from Gaza City, described the grim reality faced by those displaced. People are moving from one area to another that seems less dangerous, but all remain within the range of Israeli airstrikes and bombardment. Many are caught in a cycle of displacement, seeking temporary refuge only to be forced to flee again as the violence follows them. Some have sought shelter in the Sheikh Radwan neighborhood, only to find Israeli tanks advancing into the area northwest of the city center, destroying homes and igniting fires in tent camps. Hospitals are overwhelmed, struggling to cope with the influx of casualties. At Al-Shifa Hospital, the morgue floor is covered with bodies wrapped in white shrouds. One heartbreaking scene showed a woman gently stroking the head of her deceased son lying on a stretcher, weeping. "Who are you leaving me to, son? Why? Why?" Tess Ingram, UNICEF's communications manager for the Middle East and North Africa, warned that nearly 1 million people remain trapped in this city of fear, flight, and funerals. On Thursday alone, 44 people were killed in Gaza City. Across the entire Gaza Strip, 75 people lost their lives due to Israeli ground and air attacks since dawn on the same day. As terrified residents scattered in search of safety, Israeli military spokesperson Brigadier General Efi Defrin announced that Israeli forces now control 40% of Gaza City, with plans to continue to expand and intensify their operations in the coming days. Satellite images analyzed by Al Jazeera's Sanad fact-checking agency revealed a significant Israeli military presence, with over 52 army vehicles spotted in the Zaytun neighborhood between August 25 and September 1. These images illustrate a clear pattern of forced displacement, pushing residents from northern and central Gaza City westward, particularly along Al-Rashid Street and toward the beach. However, fleeing Gaza City does not guarantee safety. Many displaced Palestinians have moved southward, only to face overcrowded tent camps and soaring prices for basic necessities. Sharouk Abu Eid, a pregnant woman who was displaced to Khan Yunis 4 months ago, described the worsening conditions. "There is no privacy, no peace of mind. Tragically, the violence continues to follow those seeking refuge. On Thursday, Israeli forces bombed the Nuseirat refugee camp in central Gaza, killing 7 people, including 3 children. In southern Rafah, Israeli troops opened fire on a group near an aid distribution point, killing 7 and injuring more. Meanwhile, diplomatic efforts to end the conflict remain stalled. In a controversial move, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio blamed countries planning to recognize a Palestinian state for Israel's abuses in the occupied West Bank. This accusation comes amid Israel's accelerating annexation plans in the West Bank, championed by far-right Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, who recently called for annexing most of the territory. Rubio specifically pointed fingers at France and other nations expected to announce Palestinian state recognition at the upcoming United Nations General Assembly. "We told all these countries, if you do this recognition stuff, it's all fake, it's not even real. You're going to create big problems," he warned. Adding to the tension, the U.S. placed sanctions on 3 prominent Palestinian human rights organizations, Al-Haq, the Palestinian Center for Human Rights, PCHR, and Al-Mazan Center for Human Rights, accusing them of supporting International Criminal Court (ICC) investigations into Israeli officials. Last year, the ICC issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant on war crimes charges. Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs also criticized France, reportedly telling French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot that there would be no room for a visit by President Emmanuel Macron as long as Paris continued actions perceived as harmful to Israeli interests. In a rare and bold statement, European Commission Vice President Teresa Ribera described the war in Gaza as a genocide and condemned the European Union for failing to take decisive action to halt the violence. This marks a significant departure from the EU's usual cautious language, especially as the conflict has claimed over 64,000 Palestinian lives, the majority of whom are women and children. This complex and deeply tragic situation raises difficult questions. How do we balance military objectives with the protection of civilian lives? Is the international community doing enough to prevent further suffering? And what are the long-term consequences of forced displacement and annexation policies on the prospects for peace? We invite you to share your thoughts. Do you agree with the current international response, or do you believe more decisive action is needed? How should the world address the humanitarian crisis unfolding in Gaza? Join the conversation and let us know your perspective.